Top Producer Tuesday, where committed and dedicated Florida realtors go for real-time and practical coaching skills. Be prepared to get motivated, make something positive happen for you today, and get inspired to push through to higher levels of success. As challenging as it is to be a top-producing Florida realtor, it is equally rewarding and satisfying. Only you hold the key to personal victory in this modern real estate age. So buckle up and be prepared to engage and accelerate your success.
Good morning.
Hey, Reggie. Good morning.
Good morning, Larry. How are you today, sir?
Doing great. In the pilot seat, so we're good to go.
You always are, man. And Jordan, welcome to the show.
Yeah, I wanted to say thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
No problem. I want to introduce Jordan. He is the founder and CEO of JGH Mortgage and services the state of Florida. We'll be talking today with Jordan about not only some mortgage opportunities in the state of affairs out there, but also some discussions about qualifying customers and observations on top producers that he sees, because he's in a unique 50,000-foot level position, unlike we are sometimes when we're kind of like brand specific or working with one team at a time. Jordan is lucky enough to work with multiple brands, all kinds of different agent skill sets and styles. So it'll be a really interesting conversation with you, Jordan. I really appreciate you joining us today. So, so let me get started. You know, so today is actually a really important day for Florida. It is Super Tuesday, right? Not that we're a partisan show in any way with regards to politics, but you know, today is the day to, if you want to get out there and vote. We encourage that. It affects not only the real estate world, but the economic climate of Florida. I'm not going to ask you guys if you're going to go out there and vote or who you'll vote for, but I think it's an important day, and it's a unique opportunity to have Top Producer Tuesday on Florida's primaries today. Also, the second thing about today, which is interesting, is, you know, the first quarter is almost over. Already this year, one quarter of the year is just about done. And it's a good time to reflect on your business plan that you wrote at the end of 2015 or in January at the beginning of this year to see where you stand on that plan. And I know it's a little bit unprepped, Larry, Jordan, but I want to ask you guys, you know, Larry, I know you've been all over the country. You're working with some major things. If you were to say, like, you know, you're a top producer, how do you feel about your progress toward your plan this year so far?
Well, Reggie, I appreciate it. You know, I did set out a plan actually October of last year for the first quarter of this year. So that meant that I had to close out the fourth quarter in a way that it left relationships and revenue and relevance intact, right? That's I plan much further ahead. Jumped into this year. I'm right on track right now, but I continue to rethink the strategy. It's no different than in a football game. We're nearing the end of the first quarter. We're nearing the end of the first round of 4 rounds in a PGA event. Where am I today, and how have conditions changed? Right? So even when we talk about qualifying, I'm qualifying my own strategy right now. Made certain commitments, made certain directional moves, and I'm comfortable with them, but I am taking a reflection right now of what is my game plan from this point forward, right? I mentioned to you, you know, a number of opportunities over the last couple days, even couple weeks, that I've had to go back into those clients, those opportunities, and requalify them, because things take time, and unfortunately, most people don't take a chance to requalify an opportunity. We took what was there at the beginning, and we took that as gospel. But look at your own life. Things change all the time, right? So on track, but I'm reflighting a little bit and requalifying the things that I thought would take some time. Some closed early, some closed on time, some are dragging a bit, and they may or may not make the strategy for the next 9 months.
Said just like a superstar that you are, man. I know that was impromptu, but I can tell you from outsider looking in on, you know, Larry's a successful coach and consultant for top producing companies as well as leaders in several different industries, including real estate. And I've witnessed, I think you've actually surpassed your first quarter goals, and some of the things we can't talk about today that you're working on are magnormous and ridiculously successful. So thanks, Larry. Jordan, how's the mortgage business been for your plan this first quarter?
You know, things have really taken off. We always see a jump in, you know, increased interest as far as buying a home during the tax season and whatnot. People have some additional money, you know, want to look to invest in a property. You know, so we've seen some increase in interest. Obviously, now is a great time to buy.
Okay, very cool. Hey, Francis, how are you today?
Good. How you guys doing?
Very good. Thank you for joining us. Francis is the state broker for Advancer Realty and a co-founder of Selectrified Real Estate CRM software. So thanks for joining us today, Francis. I know you've got a ton of stuff on the table. You know, I'm going to ask you kind of point blank, like I put the boys on the spot a moment ago. So it's almost the second quarter of the year. One quarter of the year is almost up. We're at the end of the first 3 months of the year, Francis. I kind of have a little bit of inside information on how you're doing with the quarter, but can you share with everybody how you are on track for your plans that you set at the beginning of the year for this year?
Definitely, of course. I think that quarter two, it's going to be amazing so far. Like Jordan was saying, you know, people are getting the tax refunds, interests are going down, so they're ready. People are ready out there to purchase, to sell their homes. They're finding equity again after so many years of being underwater. So it is better than ever to start prospecting again, to start refocusing what you're doing in your daily basis and your goals for the year and your goals for the quarters, breaking down exactly where you want to be. So even as myself that you mentioned, you know, we run the brokerage, we have different things that we're doing. We're still with friends and family and referrals that we get from so many years. We're still busy. We're still closing deals. And even in a part-time basis, you're able to do it. So when you hear agents out there struggling, it's because they're missing in just having preparation, having that time to prospect, and making sure that they doing the number one thing they have to do, which is definitely following up and keeping up with the clients.
You know, Francis, thank you guys for taking a moment to talk about that. The point of this whole segment here to talk about this second quarter is, like Larry was saying, Francis and Jordan are saying, you know, it's time to reflect back on your personal performance. This would be a great week between now and Sunday to look at next Monday as an opportunity to reset yourself and reprioritize and adjust to the successes that you've made toward your plans and check them off the list, and then maybe add some new objectives to the rest of this week into next month and the next quarter that maybe you're falling a little short. You know, I won't go into it on this particular call, but one of the things I would recommend is something that I've noticed about top-level producing professionals is, you know, most of them tend to have a coach or a mentor. You know, I can honestly say that Larry is one of my personal mentors, one of my personal coaches that I turn to for leadership advice and skills and sales development and business opportunity development insight. And, you know, Larry, I know you probably have some too. I think next week you talked about going to the Bay Hill Invitational here and with one of them. And so, you know, now might be a good time for everybody out there that might be struggling with, have you obtained the goals that you set for the first quarter of 2016? And if the answer is not a resounding yes, now might be a good time to maybe add in the second quarter. It might be a good time to introduce a coach.
So Reggie, I'll go there with you. Golf is, first of all, it's beautiful in Florida today. Absolutely spectacular. The PGA Tour is making its Florida swing. It was down in Doral 2 weeks ago. It was in Fort Lauderdale the week before that, the Honda Classic. Last week it was up here at Valspar in Tampa. This week it's in Bay Hill. I can tell you what they all have in common. First of all, they're the best in the world. The tagline is, "These guys are good." That's the most understated relevance to how good they really are, because when you stand and you watch them, golf balls just don't fly like that when I play on weekends.
Me either.
And I'm not bad, by the way. I'm not too bad. But I'll tell you what they all have in common. They have a caddy. They have a swing coach. They have a putting coach. They have a how to think coach. They are coached up. Last week, I mentioned to you on a call earlier, Reggie, that Bill Haas was in the lead over the weekend. And he had a coaching lesson from his dad early in the week, and it was very simple. It was think slowly and play quickly. That's pretty brilliant. Take your time in decision making, but once you make the decision, go forward. Go forward at that time, go quickly into the decisions you've made, and then you get a chance to reflect on that. If it's a decision that doesn't happen to pan out or a strategy that doesn't happen to work, you do it again. You think slowly, and then you play quickly. So I'm going to go out to Bay Hill and watch them think slowly, play quickly, and play a heck of a lot better than I do.
You know, I can use that advice in our world. It's extremely busy, multitasking, multiple companies, hundreds of agents, lots of great partners like Jordan with us today. And, you know, sometimes we do get in that mindset that we got to make rush decisions and speed through something, when in reality, I think in hindsight and wisdom and experience has proven time and time again, and every time you think slowly and play quickly, definitely ends up in better results at the end of the day. And great words of advice that I personally have taken myself from that message, and we had talked about that also. You know, even Olympic coaches, Olympic athletes have coaches. The best professional athletes in the world have coaches. So why don't you, as a professional real estate agent or industry professional, adjust your plan for this year and get yourself a coach? And if you need help with that, you can always contact us at floridarealtorradio.com, and you can send an email to us at any time, or give us a call, or even participate on the show if you're a coach out there and you'd like to get in front of the agents. So listen, I want to get Jordan to talk about the mortgage industry real quick, and then Larry, we'll transition into, and Francis, we'll transition into the discussion about the importance of qualifying, period. I address qualifying with my clients. I address it with my agents in recruiting. We qualify our vendor partners. In sales, it's probably one of the most critical steps, and unfortunately one that is a hard lesson to learn for agents and industry professionals who don't take it as serious as they should. And in fact, it's a source of anxiety and fear for a lot of the agents out there, because asking those tough questions is something that is difficult to do. It creates an anxiousness in some personalities that tend to affect their sales directly and their income every single month. For example, you know, I interview a lot of agents, and I coach a lot of agents. And when I'm talking to some agents, I like asking questions like, you know, what's holding you back, or how do you see yourself as a industry professional? And you know, sometimes I get the answer of, you know, I don't want to be a salesperson. I just don't want my clients to think I'm pushy. You know, I don't want them to think I'm acting like a car salesman or an insurance guy. And I'm asking them to what do you mean by that? Well, you know, I'm not going to drive them into something that they don't want, or you know, I'm not going to push them into answering questions they don't feel comfortable answering. Well, I got to tell you, 9 out of 10 of those agents end up being less successful than you all said there, Jordan?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Blair Witch Project for a moment.
Yeah. So they tend to be less successful than their full potential because they are not admitting to themselves that they are professional salespeople. Well, that means every day they're qualifying somebody. You know, this is a handshake business, eye to eye, new relationships every day. And if you can't ask those tough questions, it's going to affect your business. So Jordan, let me start with you on this matter. You know, you have the luxury of working with so many different brands and agents out there. can you kind of talk about like what you see as the importance of qualifying both in your world and from the realtor's perspective?
Sure, most definitely. You know, and I'm going to get back to what you guys were talking about earlier about having a positive mental attitude. You know, positive mental attitude, if you go into a situation thinking negatively, chances are you're going to have a negative outcome. When you have a positive mental attitude, go into a situation and you prepared, you're educated, chances are you're going to come out with a positive outcome. You know, and getting down to qualifying customers, very important. You know, nowadays, with the credit bureaus and the procedures that are in place, a lot of the inquiries or liabilities that do report on credit aren't necessarily true, and a lot of times it's up to the borrower to actually follow through and getting those negative inquiries removed. You know, and this can happen the day after you pull credit. So it's very important to follow up with those particular leads, you know, and actually use it. So I do not forget one single aspect of the qualifying process. You know, and getting back to asking the hard questions, you know, I feel like asking questions in the right way, being relatable, and ultimately build a relationship. Very important. You know, and then also, well, within my industry, products guidelines are changing at a rapid pace. We see hard money, conventional products, FHA products that are altering current products, not coming out with new ones, which, you know, it's a game changer. You know, so some of the past stereotypes, some of the criteria of qualification exactly the same anymore. You know, there's new products for, you know, people who buy off foreclosure, you know, and these products are constantly changing.
Hey, Jordan. Hey, thank you very much. Hey, Larry. You know, I know you actually coach on this on a level that's above an average salesperson's experience level. So, what would you? How do you address? You know, when the topic of qualifying comes up, and you're, you know, excellent representation of somebody with zero fear and focuses zeroes in on this topic better than most. What's your advice be? What do you see happens out there and how to resolve it?
I think that, Reggie, qualifying is closing. Let's take out the word qualifying for a moment, and we'll get back to the word qualifying. It's really about closing people as you go through. We can use any number of metaphors. On a golf course, wind conditions change, things change. You have to be prepared. You have to respect yourself. It comes to self-respect. Let's start there. It comes to self-respect. In the end, I only have so many hours in a day. There is information that the buyer has that I need to help them. And if you're not willing to do that, then you are hurting yourself and you're hurting the buyer. And even if you do that early in the process, as things continue to evolve, things also change. They have, in the real estate industry, you've pulled their credit. So what they told you in the original interview may or may not have accurately reflected what you found when you pulled the credit. Maybe, maybe not. Even to the point of what specifically they're looking for in a home, area, school, price, flooring, whatever it might be. These things continue to evolve. The goal is to have total clarity, get to the uncomfortable truths within any relationship, interpersonal relationship. That's really what it is. But you have to have courage, you have to have self-respect. Things do change. All of the information at the beginning between a buyer and seller, or even a representative agent and their client, is uncomfortable. So it will evolve if you evolve the questioning. I shared with you this morning that a deal of mine is slowing down a bit, but It's held up by a different buying process. And I sent them an email yesterday, and I asked them very clearly, will the client do anything that we have discussed thus far? Not yet asking about with me. Is the client committed, as they were a month ago, to do something? And I said, because in my industry I've learned, clients retreat, reorg, and reshuffle the deck on a regular basis. I'd rather know. The answer was absolutely, it's board mandated. So it set me up for the second question. Is the client considering any other solutions or any other solution providers? Once again, I don't want to be surprised. I don't want to be blindsided by the information that I've shared coming out through someone else's filter. I'm brave enough, I'm courageous enough, and I'm mature enough to ask those questions. So I continue to get feedback, and I got a little pearl yesterday that's going to end up being the reason it won't happen if it does not happen, which is now the board needs to do a second comparison. So they're showing me what may undo a potential deal. I'd rather know now because I manage my time. My time is my currency. The commodity that I exchange is my time. So it's self-respect, it's courage, it's continuing to realize that things change. Stand out on a golf course for 4 hours. The wind's going to change direction. It's going to change velocity. It's going to change. You're going to get tired. You didn't eat your peanut butter sandwich 4 holes ago. Everything changes. Use those physical anchors and realize in a 30-day relationship or a 12-month relationship with a buyer, many things evolve and change. Keep asking.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Larry, from my experience, and you're saying the same thing. It takes courage to get the elephant out on the table, get the objections handled, get the obstacles overcome as early as possible in the relationship, in the buying process. And when things do change, rather than having a setback or deflating your positive attitude or thinking that you're failed, thinking on your feet, adjusting that game plan, and then supporting their change can actually be a victory in the end instead of a disappointment.
I'm going to share with you, Reggie, I'm going to share with you a 2-part question, okay, it's one of the better tools in getting the information you need and the information they need to share with you. It's not a trick. I called it a tool for a reason. Typically, you want to ask a buyer if has anything changed or would affect potentially you acquiring the home or doing the deal, whatever it might be. And the first answer typically is no, because they want to shield away from it. The second question is, but if anything has changed or might affect it, what would that be? You really want to get to the second question, so you ask the first question. The first question, is there anything that has occurred that may change your decision or would affect you buying the home? No. But if something is changing, what would that be? Well, it's summer. We started it in January. I don't want to move my child in the summer. I want to wait till the fall, whatever that might be. Courage is interesting. I use that word, but really it's important to get to the uncomfortable truth in any relationship. Get to the truth, and sometimes the truth changes. It doesn't mean that it wasn't the truth the first time. It just means the truth continues to evolve.
Francis, I'm going to come to you in a moment from your perspective on the importance of qualifying properly, not only from like a Jordan lender standpoint in a financial, economical manner, but also in a buying power. But I want to share with you a story that literally just happened last week into this week. Francis and I have been working with a personal friend of mine in my sphere of influence that, quite frankly, couldn't qualify. I think Jordan, I think you were one of the lenders that did an eval for him. The credit score just wasn't there. They're kind of restarting their lives again after some setbacks. Everybody's. We work with people that have been there all the time, and but they had family that had come into some money, and they were going to give them a respectable down payment. Well, even that didn't help them on their purchase, but what they were kind of scared. They were disappointed. They weren't going to get their home. They might have to wait and work with a guy like Jordan to get their credit reestablished before they could purchase. Well, Francis and I, we sat down with them and we did exactly what you were saying, Larry. We asked them about those uncomfortable truths that really were on the table. They probably knew it. I kind of had to uncover it. They weren't saying it. Such as, would the family help you? They were looking for a home, Francis. I believe it was like a $75,000 to $100,000 home in Central Florida, which yes, you can find a home, but it's there's for a little bit more, there's a lot better value that you can find. Well, so I took control of the qualifying process with their family members. So I stepped in, qualified their family, set up the conference calls with Francis, and literally, with good preparation and thinking through these obstacles, like Larry, you were saying, when the winds changed. We set out on a path to get them financed and help them find a $75,000 home. Well, after qualifying their family member who was in charge of the estate, they're now purchasing a $190,000 home cash, closing in 14 days, and they never, in their own world, in their own family, never thought it was possible. But by a quality qualifying process, by asking tough questions and sharing experience with the financial family member, they clearly saw the opportunity. They clearly saw that a little bit more than a down payment would be better for the whole family. And it was a really big victory, and it came all the way down to qualifying. And we've handheld it every step of the way throughout this process, and we're closing in a couple of weeks. So I just wanted to share that. And then, Francis, what your perspective on qualifying?
No, definitely. I think that's a great example, Reggie, because it shows that sometimes you do have to step in for your clients where they don't have the confidence, they don't have. Most of the first-time home buyers, they come lost. They really need hand-holding, pretty much taking care of every single step they have, and it starts with the pre-qualification. But I think that there's two things for me that are very important. Number one, you have to listen. You have to listen beyond what they're telling you, because like Larry said, they always want to guard their truth, because number one, they may be ashamed. They have this big dream. This is possible the biggest investment they will do for the rest of their lives. So they want to make sure that they can trust you, number one, and number two, that you're not going to judge them for the place they're in, that you're going to be the professional they're looking for that's going to take them step by step throughout the process. So I see a lot of my agents, when they engage in conversations, they really not truly listen. And number one, what you have to be looking for is their motivation. Sometimes they'll tell you, yes, I want to buy, but there's really no motivation for buying. They really don't have that clear vision, or I'm ready to sell, but I can't wait 7 months to sell. I want to sell, but I still have to wait for my second home to be sold to be able to get some cash and fix this property because the AC is broken. So you have to get really deep into the motivation, because otherwise you're going to be stuck with an overpriced property that you're not going to be able to move. There's two things that sell. It's motivation and pricing. That's it. If you get your client to be motivated and you really truly tap into the motivation and you price your home well, you're going to sell it. Right? So it's the same thing for the buyer. If you really put them in a position they feel comfortable with the monthly payment, and I think that's how I approach my client as some way. I never ask, what's your price range? I always ask, what's your monthly comfortable payment? Because of two things. Renters, people that are renting homes, they don't understand what that means. They can tell you, I want an $80,000 home, but I'm currently paying $1,500 a month. And what they don't understand is $1,500 a month is actually a $215,000 property. So that's part of the way that you have to get to your clients. I dig deep into their monthly budget. I truly ask, what makes you comfortable paying? Some of my clients can qualify for $300,000, but they really don't want to pay more than $1,500, $1,600 a month. So you really have to understand in which level of their life they're at, because you want them to feel comfortable with you. You want them to trust you that you're the one who has the knowledge And right now, they can go to the internet and pretty much find any information they want. So why they want to work with you? Because they trust you. Because they know that you care about their personal life and that you care about protecting them. And, you know, some of my agents talk about building rapport and really making that personal connection with the client. And that's all important. But beyond that, they really need to know that you're the professional. Yes, you guys can be friends. Yes, you can have something in common with them. Yes, you can have fishing. You can have all those things. But at the end of the day, they want to make business with someone that they trust, but that they also feel comfortable with, and they know that you're taking care of every step of the transaction. So for me, I would say, like I said, listen. You gotta listen. You have to ask the open-ended questions. You have to know the questions that you're asking, like Larry said. If you're new in the business, you can use scripts. I see my agents be very successful using scripts over the phone. And at the beginning, they feel a little bit technical, but along the way, they start making it their own, and they start truly being successful using scripts. So if you don't know how to qualify somebody, just even shadow an agent. Go to a listing appointment with an agent. Listen how they do it. A lot of my agents, I found even YouTube videos that go step by step about trading. So, you know, the information is out there. Don't go blinded. There's a lot of training and information for you to do the right pre-qualifications. So finding your motivation for your clients and listening are the two most important things when qualifying a client.
Well, Francis, that was some really great response. I hope everybody was listening, because there was a lot of gems in there that there was a lot of takeaways, I think, that both seasoned professionals and newbies should take to heart. Hey, Jordan, any comments on a follow-up to that before we move on?
Yeah, I do, actually. You know, Francis made a couple of good points, one of which was about buyer motivation. You know, a lot of times, and we've had a couple that we've gone through where we've had to take a step back, and we think we're going to overcome some earlier stages to get to where we wanted to be. You know, presenting the solutions in which the borrowers can and keeping them motivated. I've worked with clients in a couple of which for a couple of years, we can clean up taxes, get those to where we could actually.
Hey, Jordan.
Sorry, go ahead, Reggie.
I'm sorry, Jordan. Just your audio is cutting in and out. It either is your internet speed or maybe a little closer to the mic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you, but it's cutting out every few words.
I think it's the internet, so
okay.
I apologize about that.
No worries. And here's what I'd like to do for all of the viewers out there today. Jordan, maybe you look good. The video is fine. It's just for some reason the audio is going in and out. It's probably internet speed. If you have Wi-Fi, it might not be connected to the Wi-Fi. But Jordan, I want to get your message out there, and we'll invite you back again. Hang tight though. See if you can work on that a second. But I want to share a little bit of information in Jordan's department, and hopefully we can get him in here to finish up and talk about some of these things. Just a quick market review. So CoreLogic released their equity report for the real estate in general. I'm just going to blow through some numbers that are going to be important for you to talk about with your buyers and your sellers. For example, 8.5% of mortgaged homes right now are in negative equity. 1 million residential properties have regained equity, though. I think that's something that Francis was talking about a little bit earlier. 9.5 million homes have less than 20% equity. So although home values are going up between 1 and 4% per month, there's still not a giant leap in equity right now. Time will continue to increase that, but we're just coming off of a, if you look at the graph of how sales have dropped and then they're coming back up along and coordinated with property appreciation, that would be in line with 20% equity in 9.5 million homes. Now, the Mortgage Bankers Association for new homes surveyed in February Mortgage applications for new purchases, they've increased 24% since January, month over month in February. Conventional home loans have now comprised 67.7% of new home loan applications, FHA loans at 18.7%, USDA loans, which is normally the rural land loans, less than 1%, 0.8%, and VA up to 12.8%. So some really key numbers right there to show that distressed properties, short sales have been on the decline, and more conventional, traditional real estate conditions that existed 6, 7, 8 years ago prior to the bust are now settling in. And that's very good news for your buyers and for us as an industry. And then finally, mortgage rates for a 30-year fix remain at an all-time low at 3.68%. Think about that. You can't borrow money. There's never been a time where you could borrow hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars for under 4%. For those of you, the point about that is if you have buyers that have cash in the bank sitting there doing nothing, now is the time to leverage your credit to build that compound equity in a property, because you can borrow at 4%. Leave the money in the bank, buy the investment, but borrow against your credit line for real estate acquisition to build wealth is the advice of every economic advisor in the real estate side that I've spoken to, that I've read about, because this 3.64% is not going to last forever. So really great time to buy. Larry, any comments on that? Any of that?
You know, Reggie, with the fallout from the economy over the last few years, you have millions of people renting that can afford to own right now. I'm going to go back to something that Francis was talking about, which is what is the motivation of someone? What is their relevant knowledge? Let's not end the show today with the thought that all buyers are unsavvy and don't know. Let's make it clear that they're smart people with money in the bank. They're smart people that don't have perfect credit. They know what they're doing. They want to buy a home. But there are millions of people on the sideline today, millions, who are renting homes, renting apartments, spending $1,000 to $3,000 a month because they just simply don't realize what they can afford. And at those rates, at less than 4%, they need to get off the sideline now. They should get off the sideline now. There are reasons that they're not pursuing an opportunity, so it takes a friend, a realtor, a mentor, a recommendation to have candid conversation with them of what are their options, right? There are buyers that don't even realize they're buyers, and they're throwing money away. A lot of people are afraid of the stock market. They're afraid of real estate. The only experience they had was the mid to late 2000s. But that was a bubble created by years of accumulated wealth. It had to normalize. So my only comment is, to the point of today's show, which is qualify. More people qualify than what they realize. Your job as an agent is to help them qualify, but also to qualify them. And the role that you have with your broker is to do better qualifying. I know the struggles that Francis goes through when buyers and buying opportunities really aren't packaged right. This is not the office equipment industry from the early 80s. We're not just there to throw paperwork over the desk and hope people close. When you bring a deal to the table, it should already be closed. There should be no surprises at that point. We don't want to dive across the finish line. We want to walk across the finish line with our buyer, hand in hand, get them moved in, get them satisfied, get a referral, get a recommendation, and it starts with that layering of qualifying questions, of getting to know them, making sure we're evaluating things as they change. Even the role that we play with our broker is dependent upon the level and the value and the valuable qualifying you do throughout the process. There's no reason to forecast the deal if you really don't know if it's a deal or not. So on that note, I'm gonna share with you that I do it all day, every day. I qualify my son as he goes from his master's program to PhD. I qualify opportunities. And by the way, Reggie, I think Frances needs a bigger office. She's way too talented. She needs a bigger office. She needs your office. So I'm asking, why not? I'm gonna qualify you. Why not?
There you go. She's in the video office right now. Not her office is actually pretty nice. And hey, Larry, your point is so dead on targeted bullseye. And just to, not only are renters, I think, on the bench, and it's our job to encourage them and be there for somebody to recommend that they take advantage of these opportunities to buy a home, which are not going to last forever. But last night I went to Florida's largest real estate investor association, had their Central Florida meeting and celebration yesterday. There were 30, 40 investors in the room. After the introductions were done, the other party that's on the sideline, that's moving off the benches and into the world and opportunities for our industry, realtors, top producers, new agents alike, is the investors, people like us who, you know, we're not a first-time home buyer. In fact, we might own multiple homes and we might be investing, but it's a seller's market, so finding good terms and having the opportunity with equity in our existing investments and the cash from success that we're having as top producers in our own fields, they're coming off and now wanting to get into the investor game. They're wanting to buy the $50, $75, $120, $150,000 properties to then rent them out as cash flow opportunities for their family as second and third homes, and flips and rehabs and selling notes and tax deeds. It was, I'll tell you, the energy in that room was on fire, but 50% of the people in that room were brand new investors, but they're taking advantage of this hot market that Florida's experiencing right now. So the point is, as a realtor, your opportunities are unlimited. Show after show after show, we talk about why now's the time.
Goes back to a number we gave about 3-4 weeks ago. Vacation homes, 20% of the total real estate market of acquisitions and purchases and sales in 2015. The number just came out from Visit Florida, more than 105 million visitors last year. The number in Central Florida alone will go from 65 million to 100 million visitors from around the world in the next 15 to 20 years. That's 100 million people a year traveling just to Central Florida for the time of their life. They're going to walk away believing this is a place they want to be part of, they want to come back to. It's a great opportunity. So all facets of real estate in the state of Florida. Best weather, zero state tax income, income
Tax. Yep.
Income tax. So great opportunity. I'm gonna head out. I'm gonna go try and make some money so I can buy another piece of property.
Hey Larry, thank you very much. I think we're done here. I just want to just share with you, you know, this is Top Producer Tuesday, and you know, there is I just want everybody to know that your daily objective is to end the day and have success measured in the number of new relationships that you build. So everybody get up out of your seats today, get out there and sell something, shake some hands, go eyeball to eyeball and do a quality conversation and a quality qualification conversation with buyers, sellers, and investors. We look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks to our guests and our hosts today. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good day.